Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our coverage of the 2014 fantasy baseball season. We have come to a huge position in the fantasy baseball game, the Outfielders. There's a lot to cover, so we will jump right into it. I'm RJ here with K-Mac.
Yep, this is my favorite position in the game. This is what I used to play when I used to play baseball, and outfielders. These are the guys that showboat. These are the guys that are the best athletes on the field, running down balls, diving, running balls down, making huge plays, going up, climbing up walls, making big plays, and then getting up the bat and just mashing the ball. I'm excited to do this one. 30 players we got going.
Yep, we're going to go to 30. And Mike, I believe you played a little outfield as well, didn't you?
Yes, sir. I did.
Nice.
Played outfield when I played some baseball.
Very nice.
And, enjoyed every second of it. Should have played longer. Probably would have went on further.
Hell yeah. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The number one outfielder is Mike Trout. Pretty obvious.
Yeah.
He's a baller. 109 runs last year with 27 home runs, 97 RBIs. Definitely worthy of that number one spot because he had 33 stolen bases to go with a very nice 323 average.
Yeah, Mike Trout it's good to see this kid coming up. You know, there was a lot of hype around him. Comes in the league and right off the bat he's killing it, and he remains to be a top-notch player. Guy doesn't have a weakness in his game, and he has a lot of ferocity when he's playing. He plays mad. If you timed him running, he's probably not as fast as when he's stealing a base. It's like he has that extra gear that he puts it in, and he's an explosive player, and definitely I would take him. A lot of people are saying number one overall in the draft. I think number two.
I hear a lot of number ones. We had him number two just to Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
But he's a beast. And then number two, Andrew McCutchen, also a beast for the Pirates. 21 home runs. Only 84 RBIs. That's the one thing that I do look to go up this year, which will vindicate this spot.
I agree.
But 27 stolen bases, you can't complain with that. 317 average. This guy's got it all.
He's probably my favorite outfielder, just, even personally outside of fantasy. I really feel, I've already mentioned Pittsburgh earlier. He's another piece to them being successful this year.
Number three, your boy Mike, coming back after missing pretty much the entire season last year. He played a little bit, but he was suspended, and on top of that, he was injured.
Yep.
I think he probably was happy to have the suspension as far as the injury is concerned because he got to heal that. He comes back healthy. We have him at number three, Ryan Braun. Mike, do you expect big things out of Ryan Braun?
Juicing. Yeah, of course, man. He's juicing. He's going to be really good, like always. So
See,
I expect him to mash the ball this year, once again.
I like where you're going with Ryan Braun here because we know what he can do, and he's that good.
He is.
Now that he's straight, he's not on anything, so they say. Is that going to affect him?
Come Bears.
That's what I'm looking at because I look at the other guy who I could possibly go ahead of him in the outfield would be Carlos Gonzalez, but is he going to get injured? So this is kind of a tough pick here on this one because either one of them. But I see where you're going with Ryan Braun just because sometimes he's a first round pick.
He's a great player when he's healthy, and we got to say we just want to, as at Trippy Commentaries, we want to say there's no shame in using Ryan Braun. If he's there for you, go ahead and grab him, use him loud and proud. No shame in it. This is fantasy.
Yep.
Let the guys deal with it there in the major leagues. This is fantasy. So if he starts mashing it, no shame. Go ahead and have him take you to victory.
Yep.
Number four, a guy I have over Cargo, or at least one of the two Cargos, is Adam Jones. This guy has proven to be a stud. Last year, he really impressed me. 100 runs scored. Gotta love that. 33 home runs, money. 108 RBIs. 14 stolen bases, not bad. 285 average, he's an all-around great player.
I think we're starting to see the best Adam Jones that we're going to see, and I think it's going to carry on for a few more seasons.
The pinnacle.
Yeah, exactly. We've been waiting for it, and a little slow starting off, but everyone knew how good he was going to be. Now he's finally kind of coming into his own. The whole team is. It's a dangerous division in itself. And this team is a dangerous team offensively, and he's a big reason.
What are you looking for out of our number 5 guy this year, Carlos Gonzalez? He's been injured a lot, Mikey. Last year he had to deal with that injured finger, but it was another 2020 season for him, like clockwork, over 300 average. You think he can go ahead and have another tear of a season?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely think he can put up that 2020 300 type season. Maybe even improve on that, make it 25 on one side.
Worthy of a top
Maybe
5
both.
pick for an outfielder?
Absolutely. It just depends on his injuries, and hopefully he doesn't get injured this season.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Jacoby Ellsbury, the new Yankee center fielder, comes in at number 6. We got to see more power out of this guy. We all know about his stolen bases. He's out of control. 52 stolen bases.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That Yankee Stadium's going to help him out, though.
Absolutely, I agree.
And in the playoffs last year, he became a beast. I see that continuing, and in this park, he's gonna have more home runs. Yeah, I like that. I like him there.
Because let's face it, he only had 53 RBIs. That's not good. I mean, with all of his other attributes, I mean, that stuff's great, but to warrant a top 5 pick, a lot of people have him higher than that.
Yeah.
You got to have more RBIs. And I know I'm being nitpicky here with his 52 stolen bases, which is crazy, but I do have guys like Cargo, Adam Jones slightly over Jacoby Ellsbury. That said, his power is certainly going to go up, which can definitely elevate him. Number 7, maybe a forgotten man, Mr. Giancarlo Stanton down in Miami. He's got no help with him whatsoever. That's the wasteland down there.
It stinks for him because he's waiting to blossom. He's wanting to have that moment of coming through, seeing Trout do it. He was supposed to be that young guy that we were going to see come through and be hitting 35 home runs a season. I think it finally happens for him, but a guy just ahead of him is Bryce Harper. I just see him coming out this year. He's going to be focused. I think, he's going to have a little more feel for the game, for the pitchers, what they're going to try to do to work against him, what his weaknesses are. And, I mean, this guy just got so much bat speed. If he can just make good contact with it, it takes off. I mean, it hops off his bat. So I see him coming through, but I can't disagree with you putting making that pick there.
Yeah, we'll see where I have Bryce Harper because I was studying him a little bit here.
And I want to see it. I want to see Stanton mashing them all because that's so awesome to watch that guy when he connects. I want to see that happen more.
Yeah, he's a beast, and that's why I put him at number 7. I think last year he only had 24 home runs with a 249 average. We're going to see much better than that in 2014. Number 8, a guy who's got all of the talent, all the tools, Yasiel Puig. If he can keep his head on his shoulders, he's going to be a beast. Let's look at this. He's got the power, right? Mm-hmm. He's got speed. He hits for a high average. I mean, we saw his average was astronomical last season.
He's like the biggest athlete on the field to me. Like, he looks like he'd be a running back for an NFL team. Yeah. Like, he is built like you just see him and you're like, wow, this guy can play.
Oh yeah.
If that's the main point there. If he can if his head is on his shoulders and he's focused, at just doing everything he can to be the best to be the best player he can be, I think he's gonna blossom. He's still young too. A lot of people don't really look at that part of it.
And the last thing we got to look at with Yasiel Puig is he has a great lineup around him. So every single factor into a top-notch great player he has.
Yep.
So he can go from number 8 possibly to number 2 to number 3. That's what kind of future he might have. But he's got to keep his head on his shoulders. I know everybody says that.
The risk is definitely worth, or the reward is definitely worth the risk because, maybe you take him, we think in the second round, early third rounds, maybe reach for him a little bit to hope that it pays off. Because we know if it does pay off, it's going to pay off big time for you. And that's big in your outfield. You want to have good outfielders. He
does come with risk a little bit because a guy you can get instead of Yasiel Puig is money in the bank, Alex Rios. He's had some bad seasons in the past, but he's playing with the Rangers last season. Actually had 42 stolen bases. Can you believe that? Jeez. So you add that speed to all of his other attributes. 275 average. that's just fine. We'll take that with everything else he can bring to the table.
Definitely.
Number 10, Carlos Gomez, the other Cargo. A lot of people are really putting him high on their lists for the Brewers. I mean, you have Braun coming back. Last season put up a 24 homer, 40 stolen base season. Are you kidding me? Along with a 284 average. He had a little bit of a slump in the season, but even with that slump, his speed continued.
Yeah,
and he just was a top producer.
I think we'll see Milwaukee bounce back here this year. I think with Braun coming through, I think they'll bounce back, and that's only going to help him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, the name of the game is pitching. I know we're in an outfield preview right now, but the name of the game is pitching, and I definitely question the Brewers' pitching, to say the least. Let's move on to number 11. Jose Bautista, the Toronto Blue Jays. He only had 28 home runs last season. That's pretty disappointing because he's not going to steal too many bases, and his average went all the way down to 259.
Yeah.
So we're not sure if he's the elite player that we saw for a couple years there. Can he bounce back? That's the question.
He's definitely got the power to do it.
But he needs to have more than 28 home runs this year.
Yeah, he does. But it's all about making contact. If he can, calm himself down, because he pulls everything. He's always out in front of the ball. So a lot of pitchers are starting to realize they'll just keep throwing him changeups, get him way out in front of it, and he's either going to pop it up or ground it out.
Okay, let's go ahead and let's predict Jose Bautista's home runs for this season. Last year he had 28. Mike, how many homers is Bautista going to hit this season?
This year I'll say he hits more than 32.
32. Okay, wow. So that's a good number. I mean, that's only 4 more than last season. So I think I'm looking for more. Kyle, what are you thinking?
I said more than 32.
Well, what's your guess?
I guess I'll go with 38.
38?
38.
Wow, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking somewhere in about 30 to 35 home runs. If you get that out of him, he'll get his average up. Once he starts seeing the ball right and he waits on it, he knows that he can hit the ball to the middle, to the backside. Once he starts doing that, he can easily hit, 275. So 275, 35 home runs, 100 RBIs. Yeah, he's got a lot to offer. But does it happen? Who knows?
And I got to say, for him to return to that true Jose Bautista form, that feared player that we all thought of him as, he needs to get to the 40 home run mark. So that's what I want to see out of him. And if he doesn't do that, then his legacy is tarnished.
I don't think the Blue Jays really need him to do that. I think Encarnacion is going to be the guy to do the 40 home runs. I think he'll be happy. I mean, if he was on my team, I would be like, 30 home runs. That's
Oh yeah,
275.
From a player standpoint, from a team standpoint, 30 home runs. From a fantasy standpoint, 30 home runs. We'll take it.
Yeah.
But for Bautista to really get that legacy, he needs to get back
he was ridiculous,
to
man.
the. I mean, he's known for his homers. 28. Yeah, that doesn't cut it in my opinion. But we'll see what he does this year. Shin-Soo Choo, number 12, great player. Also there with the Rangers, right next to Alex Rios. Last season, great stats: 107 runs, 21 jacks, 20 stolen bases. Another 20-20 guy with a 285 average. That's very hard to come by. Definitely draft Shin-Soo Choo if possible. He's a popular player in the draft. He usually goes pretty high. Number 13 is Alan Craig. He's got first base eligibility, which is huge.
Yep. He's
hard to find a good first baseman that you can really rely on as an outfielder most of the time. 13 homers last year is not the best, and he doesn't have any speed, but his average is great, and all of his other statistics are going to be very solid. Moving on to number 14, you have Starling Marte, breakout player from last season.
Yeah.
He had 12 home runs to go along with his 41 stolen bases, so that's solid. 280 average. You're pretty high on the Pittsburgh offense this year. That'll certainly help Marte's case.
Oh yeah, that's a big reason why. Because I mean, if he can take over that leadoff role and become that guy that's going to get you 40 stolen bases, that's going to hopefully hit like 280. And get 15 home runs. That's what Pittsburgh needs because they got so much power behind them. If he can just find a way to get on base, do what they need him to do, Starling Marte is going to have a good season because he's got a lot of offense behind him. He's just got to not try to do too much is what I've noticed with him. Seems like he's always trying to get that big home run or something instead of just getting a base hit.
Yeah. Rounding out the top 30, you have Matt Holliday at 15, solid pick. So if you can get him, you're getting a great player.
I always like having Matt Holliday, man. You know what to expect.
Very consistent, 103 runs, 22 home runs, and a 300 average last season. Matt Kemp, we have to rank at number 16. Now, last year, he dealt with the hamstring, he dealt with the shoulder, and he dealt with the ankle. If he can get healthy, then look for him to be a top 15 player. We have him 16.
He could become top 10 if he can play like we know how he's capable of.
It's all about the injuries with him.
I know.
If he's healthy, he's going to be great.
Yep.
Bryce Harper at number 17. I know you had him ranked pretty high, but I just was not impressed with him last season. 20 home runs to go along with 11 stolen bases. A not very impressive average at 274. Now, that's a solid player, but he's one of those guys that people like to reach on. And we'll see what he can do in 2014. Yeonis Cespedes. That's a tough one. I always fuck that up. For Oakland, 26 jacks last year was not that great. We expected more, and a 240 average was pretty pathetic compared to what he had done the season prior.
Yeah, I had him down the list lower, but I mean he's gonna come through eventually, and when he does, he's gonna hit 35 home runs for you. But still a lot of inconsistencies in his swing that I noticed. He's always swinging for the fences, and he's got to learn to control his bat.
Yep, so we'll see. I mean, I think we all expect a bounce-back season out of Cespedes, especially with that good of a team around him. So definitely make sure to grab him if possible because I think he will slip. Carlos Beltran is probably going to have a great year in the new Yankee Stadium there. 24 home runs last season with a 296 average, so this is pretty low for him as well. I think even though he's going to have hype around him, he's one of those guys you're going to be able to get at a phenomenal value because people don't see the uptick in home runs coming, and it will.
Yeah, it definitely will.
Hunter Pence at 20, great player in San Francisco, always consistent.
One of the goofiest looking players ever, but damn, he comes through, man.
Jay Bruce at 21, 30 home runs last season, 262 average. We definitely hope that goes up. Justin Upton at 22, very up and down player last season, but when the dust settled, 27 home runs and a 263 average. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I think he had like half of that in the first half, or more than half of that in the first half of the season.
Yeah,
so.
Very true. 23, Wil Myers. 292 average last year against lefties, a 292 average last year against righties. That's the key. If these players can be balanced, then they will be good in the pros, and that is definitely a good sign.
Wil Myers is going to be a big part of the Rays' offense because they're still kind of lacking, besides Longoria, the other power hitter. That's what Myers needs to be for him this year. He knows he's got the power. He just needs to, get his head down and get into it.
Absolutely. Mark Trumbo, number 24. Alex Gordon at number 25. Another player who's going pretty low this year. Try to grab him. Number 26, Jason Hayward. We're worried about Jason Hayward. Hopefully he can come back strong this season.
Yeah.
27, Jason Worth. He had a great season out of nowhere last year where he really came back to form, and look for him to repeat his success. 28, Michael Kadire. With the Rockies last season, he had 20 home runs, which is probably on the low end for him. He can maybe get up to 25, possibly 28. Josh Hamilton, 29. Wow, the fall of Josh Hamilton. We'll have to get into him in a
could be a good value pickup late.
We could probably have a whole discussion on Josh Hamilton fantasy-wise. Desmond Jennings at 30. Another guy we'll be getting into in our Rays preview, so definitely make sure to join that because we all know that Desmond Jennings is so close to being a 2020 player.
Well, they need it. They need it for him this season. I mean, that's what they're missing. They're missing their other outfielder. They're Carl Crawford type numbers when he was at the Rays. They've been missing that in their outfield. Mm-hmm. He needs to be the guy to fill that.
Absolutely. And we'll see it. I mean, I think a lot of people are calling for Desmond Jennings to have a big season this year. And I think you will see him make it to 2020.
Yep.
Which will probably raise his stock up from 30 where he's at right now on this list. But there's a lot of good outfielders.
Good value.
Now, let's go ahead and make some honorable mentions here. There's going to be a lot of outfielders. You're going to want to have a lot of them on your team. Yeah. Dominic Braun has great value right now. Look for him to have a pretty low average this year, but his home runs and power are legit. Will Venable, always consistent. He's proven himself lately. Brandon Moss had a lot of power last season.
Yeah.
Outfield eligible. Leonis Martin will improve from last year. He was a great player last year to have, especially for stolen bases. And speaking of stolen bases, Brett Gardner should be a burner on the base paths with his teammate Jacoby Ellsbury.
I still Austin Jackson as well, man. I think.
You think he'll bounce back this year?
Yeah, I mean he was looking good in the playoffs. It's one of those guys, that it looks like he's gonna finally blossom as well.
So there it is. That's the outfielders. If there are any that we did not mention, because there are certainly a lot.
There's a lot.
Just make sure to drop a comment or go ahead and hit us up on Twitter, because we'll certainly answer any questions you guys have. If you need any help, we're always there for you here at Trippy Commentaries. We know outfielder is a jungle with a lot of good players to navigate through, and we got your back. So please
shoot us your opinions.
Please subscribe as well if you are new to the channel, and we'll catch you in the next installment.
And follow us on Twitter, TripCom.
At TripComs. See you guys there. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Good luck, and watch all of our other position previews here at Trippy Commentaries. Peace out.